Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and this is the new 2020 MacBook Pro 13. I've been looking forward to Apple's refresh of the 13 for ages, and while I think a lot of us, myself included, thought that maybe we'd get a MacBook Pro 14 with slightly thinner bezels and a slightly bigger screen like we did on the MacBook Pro 16, here's one I made earlier. In fact, no, it's the same screen, the same design, same battery, and in some cases, which I'll explain in a second, the same specs. So the big upgrades here are the keyboard. We now get the fantastic Magic Keyboard, which Apple introduced on the 16 and then most recently the Air. And on some models, more powerful hardware, although that's where things get a little more complicated. So I've actually bought this one myself. It's the cheapest model. It is the £1,300 or $1,300 MacBook Pro 13, which is technically known as the MacBook Pro 13 2020 2 Thunderbolt 3 model, as opposed to the higher spec 4 Thunderbolt 3 model, which starts from £1,800 or $1,800. Although despite the name, there's more to it than just the 2 extra ports. So while this is the 2 Thunderbolt 3 model, I should be getting the 4 Thunderbolt 3 model early next week, so stay tuned for the full comparison. But as I say, the main upgrade is on the inside, with all the fuss over the fancy Intel 10th Gen processors, faster Iris Plus graphics, and faster DDR4X RAM. However, if you look closely at the specs, you'll see that you have to pay at least £1,800 for the one with all the shiny new parts. In fact, this base model comes with an 8th Gen i5, 8 gigs of pretty slow DDR3 RAM, and 256 gigs of storage, which to be fair is doubled from the previous base model, so we are getting more for our money. But aside from that, the 2 Thunderbolt 3 model here has exactly the same specs as the last gen 2019 laptop. Essentially, we're just getting a better keyboard and double the storage. So on the one hand, yes, it is a better laptop, the keyboard's nice, the extra storage is nice, but on the other, for a mid-2020 MacBook Pro 13 refresh, still getting 8th gen specs, still getting 2133 MHz RAM, and that will cost you 1,300 quid seems just a little bit cheeky almost. To give you some context, this is the latest Dell XPS 13, the 9300 model, and it starts at £1,400 or $1,400, which is $100 more than the MacBook Pro 13. But you get, I'd argue, a much sleeker looking laptop that's also lighter, but importantly it comes with a 10th gen processor, much faster DDR4 RAM, and double the storage, 512 gigs. If you guys would like to see a full comparison video between the Dell XPS 13 and the MacBook Pro 13, do let me know in the comments below, and hopefully that's something I can do for you guys soon. But the point is, if you want a MacBook Pro 13, a new one with 2020 specs, you're going to have to pay £1,800, which is an awful lot of money for a laptop that, despite Pro being in the name, still doesn't offer any kind of dedicated graphics card option. That's still reserved for the MacBook Pro 16, where we get the AMD Radeon 5300M or 5500M, and starts at $2,400, so a good deal more than this. But some good news for those of you with deep pockets, but maybe not deep enough for the Pro 16. You can now spec the 4 Thunderbolt 3 Pro 13 up to 32 gigs of RAM and a whopping 4 terabytes of storage, which is double the 16 gig and 2 terabyte options we had on the 2019 model. So it's good to have these extra options. Another advantage of the higher spec 4 Thunderbolt 3 model is, along with the new processors, we get faster integrated graphics. Intel's naming scheme is a bit confusing, but on the cheaper model, we get the Iris Plus 645 chip, which is the same as last year and has 48 execution units, versus 68 EUs with what's simply called Iris Plus. I'll compare these two properly in my next video, but we could see a potential 40% boost in graphics with the 4 Thunderbolt 3 model. Not only that, but the more powerful Iris Plus supports a technology called display stream compression, which means it will fully support Apple's XDR display. In regards to sticking with the older chips in the cheaper models, my understanding is that Apple just wants to offer the MacBook Pro form factor to as many people as possible, with a premium option for those who can afford it, but alongside a more affordable model. And to their credit, prices haven't gone up, and we're getting more for our money with double the storage, and they listen to our feedback for the keyboard. The other thing I want to mention is we're getting the same pretty average 720p FaceTime webcam. It's the same one that we get on the Pro 16, the same one as last year, and also we're still getting Wi-Fi 5. There's no Wi-Fi 6. It would have been nice to see those upgrades on this guy. But I know a lot of you guys, including myself, have been eagerly waiting for this. The Pro 16 is either too big or just too expensive for most of us, and the MacBook Air, again here is one I made earlier, is perhaps not powerful enough for what you want as a Pro user. So this is what we've been all waiting for, and I think unless you're willing to pay, the £500 premium to get the 4 Thunderbolt 3 model with the faster processor, faster graphics, faster RAM, and the 2 extra ports, well, it seems just a bit of a lackluster upgrade. Although I want to reiterate just how awesome the keyboard is on this thing. It uses the updated scissor mechanism, and I'd say it's my favorite keyboard on any laptop. Plus we get the same sharp and accurate screen, incredible build quality, and the love it or hate it touch bar. Battery life should be about the same too, but I'll need to test that properly. So it's still a terrific laptop, but value for money is important to pretty much all of us. I just don't know if we're getting that with this guy. However, looking at the lineup as a whole, from the £1,000 MacBook Air, the £1,300 MacBook Pro 13, and then the £2,400 MacBook Pro 16, obviously there is something for pretty much every budget, and I will try and do a full comparison video, a Mac buying guide, if you will, as soon as I can. Although just quickly, here's how the cheapest MacBook Air with an i3 processor compares to the new cheapest MacBook Pro, which has an i5, in terms of processor performance. So as you can see, even though we're getting 8th gen chips, the fact that it is a quad-core i5 rather than a dual-core i3, we're getting double the multi-score performance, but almost exactly the same single-core. So for my full review, all those comparisons with the different Mac laptops and also the XPS 13 and probably also the upcoming XPS 15 and 17, there's so many laptops at the moment, do make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out. And also I am trying to hit that 1 million subscriber mark, so if you haven't already, it would be amazing if you could give me a cheeky little subscribe. But what do you make of the new Pro 13? Do you think the better keyboard and the doubling of the base storage is enough to tempt you to upgrade if you've been holding out? And also, would you pay that extra 500 quid or so to get the 2020 spec, essentially, of this? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.